Hello and welcome on into this very special episode of the Puck Drop podcast. It's playoff time, so this is a bonus episode with some great content and information and news for you. Hopefully it won't go too long. I'm going to try my best to not talk myself because there are other people that were interviewed, and there was a press conference held over Zoom where we got to hear from the coaches and the team captains. So there's a lot to cover. This is going to be a good one. Welcome on into the Puck Drop podcast.
It's time for the PWHL Puck Drop podcast.
Well, we've been busy posting a lot of content, writing and interviewing, posting clips. So hopefully the noise isn't too bad, but I think it's interesting to just kind of get the vibe of the city. There was a Zoom call held, as I mentioned, where we got to hear right after the Twitter post was made by PWHL Toronto and Natalie Spooner, of course, with her son Rory. He chose well. Rory's never wrong. So they decided to choose PWHL Minnesota for their first round opponent. And not really a surprise if you look at how all four of the teams have been playing. So I'm going to play some clips from everybody that was involved. So, of course, one of the first questions was for Toronto's GM, Gina Kingsbury, about the choice that they made and what factors went into that selection. So here's what she said.
The process started a long time ago when we knew the rules, I guess, and when we clinched first place, we started those discussions already on the hypotheticals of who that may be that we get to choose from. It wasn't an easy decision. As mentioned, it wasn't, Minnesota was not necessarily the lead in that right away. There was a lot of pros and cons on picking Boston or Minnesota. And in the end, we just went with what seemed to be a little bit more the pros than the cons. And we had to make a decision, and we made it based on Minnesota.
Coach Troy Ryan also spoke about how it was handled among the players and the leadership group and how he feels about the series itself.
The one thing I'll say is, from a leadership group perspective, their opinion, we hold it very high. Their thoughts on it, and they've been good, and they've given us, it's not that we've necessarily asked them straight up who they want to play. It's just more general thoughts. As Blair said, any opponent we pick in this league is going to be a very difficult opponent. So it's not putting them on the spot to exactly ask them who they want to play. It's more getting their thoughts on general things, a list that Gina had mentioned.
A big thing to note is that no matter what team we face, they're going to be a tough opponent. So we know that we've got our work cut out for us against Minnesota. We know that they've got two goaltenders who have both had great seasons. So they've got depth in the net. They have some really good defensemen, and obviously we know how offensive their biggest threats are.
One of the themes was that Toronto has played the same game, their own game, no matter who the opponent or what the situation. In that last game against Ottawa, unfortunately, it was an elimination game. They didn't take their foot off the pedal. They concentrated on their side of things, and that was something that Blair Turnbull addressed.
The roadmap for our season was clear, and our goals were clear from the start. And obviously, we started the season on a bit of a losing streak, but our goals never changed, and our mentality never changed either. So we were just really lucky that we had the right staff and the right players involved who were willing to stick with it and grind it out, and that's exactly what we did.
We know that Minnesota has more or less been on a slide, and in fact, they backed into the playoffs a little bit when Ottawa failed to qualify in that last game, and they've lost their last 5 games. So that's a topic that we just had to cover, and Kendall Coyne was able to address that.
To look at the season as a whole, I think it's really easy to look at the last 5 games, to look at what didn't go well for us, but it's been a long season, and I think there was a pause in there, so it's sometimes hard to remember what happened before that pause and the international competition. But we've put together some great hockey this year, and I think the last 5 games definitely was not our best hockey, and I think moving forward, it's a new season. Everyone starts with a clean slate.
And then a bright point for Minnesota was the addition of Sophie Jakes, and that was a topic brought up as well in the press call.
Sophie's been great. She brings that offensive element to our team that we were kind of missing. She has a really good knack for when to get up in the rush, when to join the play. She obviously has a great shot from the point, but she also brings a really nice physical element to us. I mean, I didn't really know her as a player before we got her, as well as some of our other coaches and people that were helping to make the decision to get her. But she's been a super pleasant surprise for me as a coach, having a physical player who's also very offensive minded, doesn't mind jumping up in the rush, doesn't mind looking for the big shot at the big time. She's been outstanding.
I hope you're enjoying these clips. I think it's really interesting, and it was certainly unique to take part in this process of the reveal and then the immediate discussion afterwards. Don't forget to maybe hit that super thanks or hit the donation subscription button on Spotify. Anything else you can do on Apple Podcasts to just help promote, share, write a review, all good and much, much appreciated. Anyway, moving on to the next series. It's interesting that these teams didn't select each other or get selected. And on the call, Poulin sounded like she's ready to go. Let's play that one.
It's very exciting. Obviously, Montreal is quite the city to be in terms of sport. Very excited to be here, but obviously, Abs are out, Rockets are out. We're very lucky to be able to actually play in Place Bell and being able to be there.
And Hillary and I was asked specifically about playing against Poulin. These two captains, Hall of Fame players, are going to face each other yet again. This was her quote on that.
From a fan's perspective, if I can just step out of just me as a competitor, I think it's, this is what you want. You hear about these two names and what an incredible matchup for them, and a true original six matchup, right? So I think that's pretty exciting from a fan's perspective, and from a team perspective, we're just going out there, we're going to follow the game plan wherever our coaches guide us, and we're going to try and win and do that at whatever cost that we need to pay out there. So it's just really exciting to play in the spring and into the summer and play some good hockey. So it's a great rivalry that's just slowly developed, off of, many years before, but for us most recently.
And Coach Courtney Kessel had this to say.
Yeah, I mean, we only have 6 teams in our league, so we've seen them 4 times and every other team 5. I'm not too sure the game plan changes. I think we stick to what's working. The last 5 games have been a tremendous build for us heading into playoffs, and I think we just continue to build on that. I don't think anything changes.
We've had an awesome stretch here since that month-long break, and it's just a testament to the type of people that we have in the room, and I wouldn't want to go to battle with any other group.
Yeah, I would just say, I think it's a new season. We had a great ending, and we came on hot after Worlds, but this is playoff hockey, and anything can happen. I think we need to continue our momentum, and that's just playing the way that we play, and I think the break did obviously help us. I felt like it just helped us regroup a little bit, and I think we saw that in our last 5 games there.
After those clips, we moved into the first few games of both series. So I was able to get some audio at the Toronto, Minnesota games, and I wanted to play some of the quotes about the game, the historic first game, first goal, first shutout, first win, the atmosphere at Coca-Cola Coliseum for PWHL Toronto, which was amazing. The first game was markedly different from the second one. So at the press conference afterwards, Toronto coach Troy Ryan spoke with Kristen Campbell and Captain Blair Turnbull, who had a great game with 2 goals, about that game. And here's some of what they said.
The whole season we've been building and building, waiting to get into playoffs, and trying to fine-tune our game every week and get better so that when the playoffs arrived, we were ready to go. And I think there's still a few areas that we can keep improving on, but overall we're pretty happy with where we're at, and we know that we can still take it to a whole nother level. So we're excited to get back on the ice for game 2, but we're really proud of our execution here in game 1.
To be honest, it's what I believe I expect, and I think what the group expects as well. And being everything we thought it would be. I think the atmosphere was incredible. I think our performance was pretty good, and I think it's a great stepping stone for us to continue to build on for this series and hopefully moving forward. So definitely a good first game 1.
And especially there was a focus on Campbell and her outstanding goaltending. She is just really hot right now. And she said this about her game and how she's feeling.
Yeah, no, I was feeling really good out there. I thought that our team did a great job helping me out when I needed it, blocking shots and clearing pucks. And yeah, I just play one puck at a time. That's been my motto this whole season. And just, yeah, taking control of the game when I can and getting us whistles and staying calm back there.
Yeah, it just gives us so much confidence. And I think the best part about Soupy is that she's figured out how to stay calm regardless of what's happening on the ice. She's been really stable for us in her emotions, and I think as players, when your goalie gives you that calmness and the sense that everything's under control, you feel really good no matter what's happening on the ice. So it's something that is a strength of hers, and it gives our team a lot of power when we feel that she's in the zone like that.
And my question for the group was about the role players and some of the, finer details and the performances from the third and fourth liners who make a big difference in the playoffs. And I really like Coach Troy Ryan's answer.
Blair and I were just talking about it before we came here is, in a game one for sort of our third and fourth line or our 13th forward to play the minutes they were able to play tonight. It's great for tonight's game, but it's also something that sets us up for success moving forward. When you're trying to jam potentially 5 games into a short period, you can't be relying on 1 or 2 lines or 3 or 4 D. You got to get some key minutes over some other players, and I thought they did a great job tonight and played the right way. They stepped right in and played playoff type hockey. So that's what we're going to need if we're going to be successful.
On the flip side, when we heard from PWHL Minnesota after game 1, they sounded a little down. I think the travel and the schedule and the lack of preparation was kind of an undercurrent, although certainly not used as an excuse. But here's what they said.
No, I mean, it's great. The crowd was great. I mean, it's exciting. It's exciting to play in packed arenas. I know for these guys, they love it. It's easy to get up. It's easy to, they talk about us being tired from the travel, but when you have a big crowd like that, everyone feels good. Everyone's got their jump. It's exciting for the players, and that's kind of what it's all about for me is that they're getting to experience, real playoff hockey, big crowds on the road, intense situations, which these guys have experienced with USA Canada rivalries, but a lot of our players haven't, so it's good.
Yeah, there hasn't been many times where we've played the same game or the same team like on the road back to back. So if ever in all the season, so it'll be nice, like Coach said, to settle in a little bit, get a practice in, regroup, and at the end of the day, try to win one game, and that's always gonna be the next one. So that's the other thing is you're playing the same team, so you kind of make those adjustments versus in the regular season you're always switching back and forth who you're playing against, and we're always trying to focus on ourselves, but it helps to also get those tendencies in other teams.
And the physicality of the game was not as much as maybe what you'd expect in kind of a heightened atmosphere in the playoffs. And in a Zoom call the next day, we spoke to defenders Jocelyn Larocque and Renata Fast. And Larocque spoke about that as well, and not wanting to take penalties and just how they're feeling about their special teams.
That was one of our least physical games. And I think when it comes down to playoffs, you're probably, like, I know for myself, it's like you don't want to get a penalty. And so maybe there was a little bit of that, trying to test out how the refs were going to, ref, but they were definitely letting us play. So I think the next game will be more physical from both teams, but especially Minnesota. I think they'll come out more physical, but there is a fine line, and you don't want to put your team on the PK. So it's finding that balance. But in our PK, we have such a mentality where it's like, we're almost excited to like stop them from scoring and stop their power play. So we actually get really excited. And I think a lot of times like mentality is a huge thing. So it's something that we take a lot of pride in, and we know that it can change the momentum of the game. And the past successes obviously give you confidence. So it's something that, we take a lot of pride in, and it's a big part of our game.
You can find some of these clips elsewhere on my social media and separately on the YouTube channel. If you're interested in some of the fuller answers, those are out there. I'm trying to get everything to you. And that's just a reminder to hit that super thanks and maybe support us through a subscription on Spotify. Very much appreciated. So that leads me to a question that I got to ask Renata Fast. about, how well she cuts off people that come down her side of the ice. And here's how that went. And for yourself, it's quite noticeable that you have developed the ability to really close off people when they come down your side of the ice. So how does that feel? And like, what would you say to people that decide that they're going to try that option and see if they can get past you there?
Yeah, I mean, I've loved the physicality of the league so far. I think it's been a great addition, and I think it plays into my game, just being able to close on people by using my speed and then getting good body position. So, yeah, I like when players try to come wide and kind of angle them off. And I think our team in general has done a really good job of playing that physical game. And I think it's kind of been an advantage to us. We have a lot of players that are willing to kind of play that way because it is a mentality to have that in you to play that way. And I think our team has really leaned into it and finding the balance of what's too physical and what can go. So it's been really fun. And yeah.
So in the other series, not surprising that this is really, really close and really, really heated and quite physical. And this is what we expect. I think this is a huge rivalry. So after two intense overtime games, this series is 2-0 for Boston. And here are some of the comments from both Montreal's Corey Chevry and Boston's Courtney Kessel.
As you were telling me how it would be important for everyone to contribute. And do you think that's one of the main problems?
I mean, obviously we'd like to get more offense, but I like the looks that we're getting right now. And obviously we're playing against a really hot goalie. And so again, like I wouldn't call it a problem. Like I hope you guys are asking Boston what their problem is too, because they've only scored, very limited goals as well. So no, I mean, like it's a 3 out of 5. Like we have to move on from these last two games, learn what we can, and move on. And I would say that even from game 1 to game 2, we got better in terms of understanding how to play overtime just a little bit better. I think that's why it probably went so long. And, we'll continue to put the work in, make sure our players get recovered. And, we have a very important game in Boston coming up.
In the third overtime, we saw Leah Loom and Catherine Daou. How tough was it for you guys, the coaching staff, to manage the fact that maybe your best players were kind of tired, but the other ones didn't play for 5 periods? How do you manage this situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. We obviously want to be able to utilize everybody as much as we possibly can. It's a quick conversation. Get ready, you're going in. And in this moment, you don't have time to think. And, I thought, for the players who didn't play for a while and then came back in, I thought that they contributed great. And it's just a whole other level in playoffs. And, I would love for everybody to be able to contribute. And I think it will happen. I think it's just going to happen on different nights. So, yeah, they gave us, the bottom half of our lineup gave us some minutes to rest some of our other players, and that's their job too. So we'll keep trying to play around with it to hopefully we don't go into overtime for game 3.
I mean, we knew this was gonna happen with Montreal. I think we battled all year, and it's just tremendous effort by every single athlete out there. It takes a lot to basically play 2 games of hockey, and luckily we came out on the better side of that. One in the stands, I think we gave them what they came here for: the speed, the physicality, the playmaking, the shooting. Like, these women are just tremendous hockey players, but more importantly, tremendous humans. And just grateful, for my staff. We have such an amazing group, and I think what we saw was 2 phenomenal hockey teams go head to head in playoff hockey, and that's what we're all looking for. Go down, people get kicked out, injuries can happen, and I think the good thing is we've prepared, all of our athletes to be in these phenomenal situations, and they're professionals, right? So they train day in and day out for these moments, so they're all ready for it. I think it's probably one of the hardest things to do in hockey. Like even just playing in the CWHL with Brampton, coming into Montreal that the fans are going to be fantastic. They're going to bring a great crowd and the energy, and you're going to come out and be nervous in your first game. And we saw that on Thursday out of our group, but we battled through. And did I ever think we'd come out of here 2-0? Yeah, of course. I think we've built this group up to be a tremendous team and play for each other, and that's just what we've seen over the last 2 games so far.
After the first game, Marie-Philippe Poulin spoke, and this was some of what she said about their effort and the next game, what she was looking forward to.
But do you think there was enough high-pressure shots, enough traffic happening in front of Franco?
I think that's something, obviously, like traffic is going to be key next game, obviously. Getting that puck through and really manage those rebounds. I think there was a couple where we can be a little bit more ready to get those pucks when it's right in the slot and try to get that in. I think there was quality chances. I think those were many of them tonight. Obviously, there's a lot of wraparound where we got to manage that F2, being able to get that rebound and manage that. But I think as a whole, there was quality chances. Obviously, we just got to manage and be there for those rebounds.
Philip, it looked like Boston might have been nervous the first part of the game with the atmosphere here and the crowd and everything. But as the game went on and you guys kept getting stopped by the goalie, do you think your team maybe started feeling a little more nervous or pressure later in the game?
I don't think in that sense. I think we felt that crowd tonight. We felt the energy, and we just got to build from that. Obviously, they have a great team. We have a good team. It's going to be a battle, and obviously our first, second was very good, and obviously our third, obviously every time it's a little bit stressful, we kind of tend to back up. But as a whole, I think it was 60 and more minutes that we're happy with, and we got to build from that.
And here's some of what Laura Stacey had to say about the team's attitude and effort.
Hockey's a pretty frustrating sport at times, but we also love it. That's why we do it. That's why we've been here for so long. In terms of frustration, of course, it's going to be there. We want to win hockey games. We want to give the crowd something to cheer about. We want to score. We want to beat Boston. And obviously that's not happening at the moment, but to put that many shots up, and as a team that hasn't done that all year, but in both games we found a way. We've battled. We took it to 3 extra overtimes. Like the no quit in that locker room. Yes, we can be frustrated is all we want. But at the end of the day, the fact that we've been resilient, we've kept pushing, and we will keep pushing. I think that's the most important thing that we can take from both of these 2 games. Forget about the rest, and realize how much we actually have inside of us.
So hopefully, that was some good insight for you. I'm really happy to be bringing this to you. Please drop a comment and let me know if there are specific things you want me to ask, things you want covered. I'll be posting as much as I can from a lot of this press conference, post-game type audio and video. It's really exciting to hear and see what the players are saying and how well they're playing. This has just been, again, just a great playoff round, and one more to come when we move into the finals. I will have another podcast for you where we delve into the results of the semifinals. And again, no ads here for you. So hopefully you're enjoying that. I don't pause and, plug a drink or a betting site. This is just for you. And if you want to, hit me up with a super thanks or a small donation, I would really appreciate it. It's been a great time here in Toronto. I've enjoyed it so much. Looking forward to this series and the other one, and then on to the finals, the Walter Cup, the draft, so much more to come for you. So thanks for watching today. Please hit like, subscribe, follow whatever platform you're on. Appreciate you being fans, and I will see you in the next podcast.
PWHL Puck Drop Podcast.